Okay, this is day 58, and what is great about this investigation is just when you think it's getting that you have one day where there's not something breaking, the defendants themselves, the conspirators themselves, hand you not one, but two stories. So we have the snatch, we have the Mueller snatch, we have Mueller snatching GSA information, the GSA emails, which is really going to be Andy snatching them. Everyone thinks GSA, oh, GSA, what's GSA? Well, GSA is the General Services Administration, created after World War II to kind of consolidate buildings and consolidate stuff that you would need, like IT services, right? And other things. Now, have the Awans ever worked for GSA? Have the Awans ever worked for GSA? Is going to be a key point. Okay, now have the Awans ever been involved in something called FedRAMP? That's one of the initiatives that the GSA has, okay, for ramping up in dealing with the federal government, right? I wonder if there's a reporter out there who's ever looked into this and just waiting for them to step on the GSA landmine. Well, it turns out there is. Yeah, there is. We're going to get to FedRAMP. We're going to get to FedRAMP. But here's the guy who runs GSA. Again, another acting administrator. Did Bob Mueller ask this person for the email accounts of 13 different transition employees? How was that search warrant executed? Where is that search warrant? Is this going to be another PP dossier? Is this going to be another PP FISA? We don't know. But this Federal Acquisition Services is around procuring equipment. That's going to be another AWAN area of interest. This Public Building Services is going to be another area of Freitag. Remember Zoe Freitag. Don't ever forget Zoe Freitag. Zoe Freitag is going to be involved in the GSA with all the electronic versions and programs for GSA. We're going to establish a clear link between the Freitags and the Awan brothers. Okay, and then there's this Technology Transformation Services. I wonder who the Inspector General is for the GSA. These are mistakes. Now, why did they make this mistake? Why did they... It almost seems like they drove a truck of evidence over to my house and said, oh, by the way, we sifted through a whole federal government building full of evidence and we found that all this is directly germane to your case. Here you go, George. Everyone would say, why did they do that? Why would they do that? Well, here's why. Because actually this evidence was illegally obtained. It was illegally obtained actually through this Russian compound in Centreville, Maryland. This is where you're going to find GPS bringing people. There's also one in New York out on Long Island. You're going to find Fusion GPS bringing people there. They're the ones that are actually going to be doing the deep dives on this email, and they have to get a parallel construction. There must be a parallel construction now. Andrew McCabe, how did you get these 13 different people's emails? How did you get it? The only thing they can do is come up with a parallel construction. There's no other way. There's no other way. If you don't know much about Centreville, a lot of people say, oh, this is, George, you're... Now that there's a Russia expert, now that Nellie Orr is a Russia expert hired at Fusion GPS in July after the PP meeting, the Trump Tower Baby Jr. meeting in June, Nellie Orr gets hired as a Russia expert. She gets I believe, what's going to be an Iridium phone. Who had Iridium phones? Well, Imran Awan's dad had Iridium phones. I wonder why she needs an Iridium phone. Is it for talking to Russians? Is it for talking to Russians to fuse the world, to fuse the GPS? Who knows? But here's a few pictures of the Russian compound. Maybe this isn't going to load very quickly. But there was this mad rush to get all these people out of here at the end of the year. Once they got what they needed on the Flynn investigation, what they thought was a smoking gun, they closed this thing down. There's all sorts of spy equipment out there. Here it is. This is what I say. This is where I say Nellie's Russians. Oh, Nellie. Whoa, Nellie. Whoa, Nellie's Russians. You can think of each of these boats here bringing in a Russian. Actually, they're going to be Russians on ships, like the Maersk ships. I'm not just saying Russians. It's going to be Ukrainians, but they're going to be people from all over Eastern Europe that are going to be getting Ukrainian passports and coming in and working at these places. Rotating through. Just like the Awans have the safe houses for the Pakistani ISI, In Virginia, you're going to have Russians rotating through this facility and also Long Island, So that's why they shut it down before Trump could get it. They did not want Trump to have this facility. Trump's trying to give it back. When will the GSA part of the story come to me? And then it just comes to you. And then now all the stuff that I've worked on with GSA, and you can see, it's a fairly stands out like a red barn, something you could see from the coast very easily. And I'm going to say that people are going to be coming in on those little pleasure boats and staying there, and it's going to look like, hey, somebody's just sailing up. That's how they're going to be infiltrated into the country. Okay, so here you go. If you want to just, again, you can search a whole corpus of the world by just saying George Webb and GSA on YouTube, and then you'll see all the GSA evidence just waiting. We're just waiting for someone to step on the GSA landmine. And now, I can access hundreds of different, well, not hundreds, but maybe lots and lots and lots of GSA quotations and sources. So I'll be working on that the rest of this morning. Thank God. Please don't stop Bob Mueller and Andrew McCabe in illegal evidence. Oh, by the way, I have a Fourth Amendment lawsuit against Mueller and McCabe for exactly this GSA email snatch. I filed way before anybody knew about the GSA email snatch. Now I'll be able to call this guy for evidence. I'll be able to call Teresa Grafenstein if she was the Inspector General, right? I'll be able to call and ask what documents. Show me the document trail for getting this. You can't just go into GSA and say, give me the email for 13 private individuals, so Electronic Communication Privacy Act. You can't just do that. So show me the email trail. Again, creating evidence trails for me, creating chain of evidence for me. It's Christmas. Christmas came early. Thank you, Bob Mueller. Thank you, Andy.